thanks for joining us for a special edition of Action News. We are just minutes away from a big implosion.
That's right. The old Clarion Hotel is coming down. It's not the most well-known property, but there is a lot of history here. It opened as the Royal Inn back in 1970. Michael Gahn, the son of the late Jackie Gahn, took ownership 2 years later. And after that, it changed hands several times. It was the Royal Americana and the Paddle Wheel.
That's right. And then in 1992, actress Debbie Reynolds bought the property, renaming it the Debbie Reynolds Hollywood Hotel. Both Reynolds and the hotel wound up filing for bankruptcy in 1997. Then the hotel was briefly renamed the Greek Isles for a short time before falling into foreclosure in 2009 and then becoming a part of the Clarion chain, operating under that name until it closed for good last year. Now on your screen right now, multiple cameras. Our crews are across the valley to bring you this implosion live in just a few moments.
That's right, a lot of vantage points for you. You know, demolition work actually started about a few months ago. Crews have been stripping out parts of the building. All of the hazardous stuff like asbestos is gone. And this week, several thousand explosive charges were put in the walls there of the hotel. Months of work, all for the implosion that will only take about 11 seconds.
If you're still not exactly sure where the property is, it's located between the Riviera and the Las Vegas Convention Center. And when it all comes crashing down, there will be a lot of dust left behind. Road closures are already in effect. They include Convention Center Drive from Las Vegas Boulevard to Paradise Road, Kishner Drive north of Convention Center Drive, Debbie Reynolds Drive, and Channel 8 Drive. They're all closed until at least 3:30 a.m. Don Guevara is there. He is behind the barricades, and he will be bringing it all to us.
That's right. He has a front row view of the implosion. Don, good morning to you.
Hi guys, good morning. I want to show you something right here. There's Lorenzo Damali. He's the owner and developer of this property. That's the plunger that he's going to be pushing in just a matter of seconds to get this thing imploded. And you can see we've got a great vantage point here, just a couple hundred yards from this hotel. 4,400 sticks of dynamite, all attached together, most of them on the first and second floor, then the 9th and 10th floor. So when he gives the go-ahead, pushes that plunger, that thing's going to go up. Let's take a look behind and see what's going on here. Kind of a bit of a VIP viewing party for this show here. You can see people got their phones out. They're ready. We've got people on parking structures waiting to take pictures. So a lot of people here in the surrounding area waiting for the implosion of the Clarion. We've been here since about midnight. We've got about 15 seconds. We'll turn the camera to the show, to the hotel, and in a matter of seconds, they said it's going to take about 12 seconds for that thing to go down once Lorenzo pushes the plunger. You can see there's some showgirls here, but everyone has their phones and their cameras fixed on the Clarion, which will be history in just a matter of seconds.
Hey Don, if you can hear us, how many people are out there right now?
There's about 50 people. I mean, we've got a couple showgirls. We've got some people here who were part of the demolition. This thing has taken like 5 months. I mean, even though it's going to be a matter of seconds for this thing to go down, the preparation for this took months. They had to get people to put in all the dynamite and clear the surrounding area. And then after it's imploded, it's going to take about another month to clear the property up and get it to where it needs to be to get whatever's going to be there next, which we don't know yet. That's all part of the surprise to be determined in the future.
No, we're seconds away,
and there's
but
Lorenzo
what's the
waiting at the
atmosphere like?
plunger. It's very exciting. You know, people here haven't seen one of these since 2007, and we've been talking to a lot of people who have been just so excited to see what's going to happen. There's talk about noise. All of us have to wear these ear plungers. We've got goggles. I have one of these like head-to-toe kind of clothes vest to keep my clothes clean, but I didn't decide to put it on because no one else has theirs on. So there's supposed to be some dust. There's no wind. So we're hoping that we stay clean and that nothing gets into our eyes. But for the most part, I think everyone's really excited because, you know, they haven't seen something like this in years. We've got some drones flying above. And, you know, people are just kind of waiting. We knew that there was a window between 1:30 and 2:30. And so, of course, they chose the latter part of the window. So it's been a party. They've been giving us food, there's drinks, and people are just, you know, relaxed. It's a nice, cool evening. and it's a pretty good day for an implosion.
Don, you mentioned that
So
there
not
is
too much to
a
complain
party
about out
social
here.
atmosphere going on out there, but you also did mention that some folks are wearing those dust masks. Are crews from the Clark County Fire Department out there? Is there any warning about the possible dust in the air? And are there any safety measures going into effect ahead of this blast?
Where we are, it's all party. There are a lot of crews in the center across the street by the Marriott, but where we are, it is just party. There are no firefighters. No one has said anything about any kind of precautions. They did tell us that we do need to wear the earplugs. Those are the only issue that we have to worry about. But as far as any kind of safety concerns, out here, no one seems to be too concerned that anything bad is going to happen.
That's right, and there's a lot
So
of,
we
as
wait.
we've been mentioning.
We wait for that plunger to go down.
And as we've been mentioning, there's a lot of road closures in the area. Obviously, that because people want to make sure that the dust doesn't get on the crowds. This, again, not open to the public. Don having, of course, the best seat in the house out there right now, getting a view that only those few people that you see there celebrating are going to have tonight. Again, we are expecting this implosion of the Clarion any minute now. This hotel, quite a lengthy history here in Las Vegas under its many different names. It has been years since we have had an implosion of this magnitude here in Las Vegas. Nearly a decade since a full structure near the Strip was brought down. So we are eagerly anticipating the implosion of the Clarion this morning.
Yeah, and as we see the live look at the Clarion right now as it's about to go down, and Don mentioning that party atmosphere, of course, Las Vegas does love a good implosion, and that's why we're bringing it to our viewers live, because this one is not open to the public. Traditionally, they have been, but again, this one this morning is not open to the public. This is a building that has been up here in Las Vegas for about 45 years and went up in 1970, has various names as part of its history. Right now, it's known as the Clarion, but in just a few seconds, this thing will be wiped off the Las Vegas landscape. It's going to make room for something new, potentially a new resort. We're not quite sure. There are some rumors surrounding the property and the location that it may be another resort in a few months or a few years, but right now we're just waiting for this thing to go down.
That's right. 2007 was the last year that we had a major implosion of a Strip casino. That was the year that the Stardust and the New Frontier both came tumbling down, both of them brought down by explosives. This one, again, the first time in many years, albeit with a little less fanfare. The Clarion definitely does not have the name that those properties had, the strong historical ties, although the building itself, as Jessica mentioned, does have a lengthy history, and of course, Las Vegas does love an implosion. So this is the first one in many, many years.
Yeah, you mentioned 2007 as being the last time we saw an implosion, and before that was 2001 when we saw the Desert Inn come down, and then we had the Aladdin back in 1998, and a lot of these properties that have been imploded in the past, as you mentioned, Spencer, some really big names. This is the Aladdin coming down, and that was 1998.
And Channel 13 actually had their cameras perched atop the Aladdin when it came tumbling down for the implosion itself. Obviously, those cameras were
And this
destroyed.
is the Desert Inn as it comes down. So again, a lot of those really big names, many of the streets here in Las Vegas named after these big properties, and we have seen these come down in the past years. This morning, though, we are awaiting the Clarion to go down, and again, it has the building itself some history back in 1970 when it was built. So 45 years this thing has been on the map.
We've seen these implosions slowing down, and that's what experts say, is that it's not going to be as frequent. They're going to be slowing down because the new mega resorts, these buildings are going to be lasting for a long time. Many of these newer properties have some lasting build to them. They're new models and whatnot. So obviously, this is the first one in a long time, and we are happy to be covering it live. It could be the last one. Obviously, we've got the Gramercy coming up later this week, but for the Strip is concerned, this could be the last one for many, many years.
You know, Spencer, something that everyone's concerned about this morning, though, is the dust. As Don mentioned, a lot of people wearing those dust masks. And we want to check in with Greg right now, just see how the wind is holding up right now for us and if that dust is really going to be blowing a lot this morning.
Glad to have Greg here.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad to be here, that we've got a lot to talk about with the Desert Doppler radar up, just to show you that we're not even seeing the cloud cover over the area that we're going to be seeing the Clarion implode. Let me show you the current conditions for the time being at 58 degrees in Las Vegas. A bit of a chill out there as they celebrate the implosion of the Clarion. But the southwest winds not going to be a big concern, less than 10 miles per hour. And we were discussing that you needed a maximum of 12 knot winds, so around 15 mile per hour winds for this to not go on. Obviously, this will continue. Looks like we are going to be having that implosion. Light winds, the dust really shouldn't be a concern. It should actually stick to the local block area there, guys.
All right, Greg, thank you. You know, we have some great video of these past implosions. If we can get to the Hacienda, that one was actually blown up in 1977. And
97.
1997.
That was a big one. That was a huge spectacle on New Year's Eve, believe it or not. That was actually December 31st, 1996. 1997 rang in with a bang when the Hacienda went down.
That's right, and it actually made room for the Mandalay Bay properties, so that came down. The Mandalay Bay, now open, obviously still part of the Las Vegas Strip, a very big property there. And this is the dunes coming down in 1993. That one went down in flames, and that was really the beginning of a new era, the Strip Mega Resort.
Yes, the dunes implosion was the first that we've seen here on the Strip. The first tower was brought down in 1993. There was a second implosion in 1994. Now in its place is the Bellagio. Of course, Steve Wynn, the originator behind the Bellagio and the driving force behind many of the first implosions that we saw on the Strip. Now this one on your screen is one of the more recent implosions. It wasn't a full casino implosion. This was the old structure of the Tropicana. It was the oldest wings, the beginning wings, which date back to the 1950s. Those series of rooms were brought down very quietly. They did not advertise this implosion. This was actually posted, this video, to YouTube by one of the few locals who knew about the Tropicana implosion in advance.
That's right, and I believe we have the Frontier now up on your screen as well. A lot of these implosions, as you mentioned, Spencer, are these big public spectacles. The Tropicana, as you mentioned, was something that we saw on YouTube. Not that many people knew about it. And then the Clarion Hotel that's coming down this morning is not a public event. But so many of these become a part of the Las Vegas history, not only the building themselves, but then again, their demolition. Let's go ahead and check in with Don Guevara again, who is standing by live. He has a front row seat to all of this. Don, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, guys. Yeah, I'm getting a little scared, so I put on my mask here so I can breathe when this happens. And I want to show you the plunger. I suppose that if I wanted to, I could end this all right now and sort of, you know, get that building down, but I'd probably get into a lot of trouble. But this is the device that's going to not really trigger it because it's more ceremonial, but this is what they will push. When the time comes, we're all kind of waiting. It's like New Year's out here, only there's no countdown, really, because we don't really know when it's going to happen. But look over here at the side. There are a number of people, about 50 people, VIP kind of party here. They've been feeding us. There's some drinks. It's a very celebratory atmosphere. And people are just waiting for, you know, the big implosion of what's going to happen. This guy says he's going to check to see what's happening. But this is about as close as we can go. There's about a line here, and we're about 200 meters from the Clarion, and they've got all this empty space here. They didn't want us to get any closer, so this is pretty much as close as you can get. But I want to take you guys back up there. Those are the parking structures to some of the hotels, and you can see they look like crows, but they're actually people who are lined up on the different levels waiting to just either watch it with their own eyes or probably, you know, take pictures so they can put it on Facebook, Twitter, and just share with their friends. And they are on any perch that you can see. We've got a bunch of hotels, some apartments, anywhere someone can stand, that's where they are to try to see what's happening. There's some drones flying above us. You know, it's a perfect night to fly a drone. You know, we heard from Greg as far as the wind. We're not feeling anything here. So as far as any dust concerns where we are, you know, fingers crossed I won't have to put this down and put the glasses up. But everyone is staring at the Clarion, and in a matter of when it happens, it's going to take about 12 seconds, guys,
hey,
to
Don,
put that thing to a big heaping pile of rubble. Yeah, Jess.
Hey, I'm wondering what the atmosphere is like. You mentioned YouTube and Twitter. Have you talked to a lot of people? Are they tweeting this? Are they connected with their friends that may not be there with you guys this morning?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's only a select group of people who can be here, so they really have a good vantage point. And if you actually go on Twitter, you'll see that they have their own hashtag, Implode the Clarion, something like that. But there's a lot of that going on, and people, you know how it is. Anytime there's something to see, people have their phone up, and there's a lot of activity on Twitter, on Facebook, regarding what's supposed to be happening here. We're a little, past the deadline, and I'm very tempted to just take that plunger and knock it down so we can all see this happen. We've been having a lot of fun out here, in all seriousness.
Don, I'm seeing on Twitter right now from
atmosphere.
I'm seeing on Twitter right now from some of the folks who are also out there alongside you right now that Metro officers are there clearing the area. I guess there are some onlookers, according to some of the people who are posting on Twitter. Metro has found some people who are too close to the blast zone. Again, this is just from Twitter, not confirmed from Metro, and that they are clearing them out ahead of the implosion.
Yeah, several streets blocked off in that area just so people don't get too close, because there are a lot of safety precautions in place right now. As you saw, Dawn and all the other people out there wearing those masks over their face, and then they have those earbuds ready to be put in as soon as the hotel comes tumbling down. We're told the implosion will only last about 11-12 seconds, so this thing will go down quick. But obviously, as we anticipate what's happening, this has been somewhat of a long wait for us. We're hoping that it goes down before 3 o'clock. That's the cutoff. And on your screen right now, you can see the road closures. They last until 3:30 this morning, and a lot of roads there closed in the nearby area.
Yeah, you can see all of those roads, pretty much that entire stretch of that pocket area between the Riviera Hotel and Casino and the Convention Center, and all of those side streets in between are closed, all for this pending implosion, which was scheduled to happen about 13 minutes ago. Again, we're hearing reports that they are clearing the area. We've also heard that 3 a.m. is the cutoff time for this implosion.
That's right. We don't mind waiting because it does build that anticipation, and as we wait for this building to come down, Spencer, let's talk about who is actually going to be pushing that plunger. It's going to be the owner of the building, Lorenzo Dumani, and we have talked to him earlier this week here on Action News, asking him what might become of this property, and there are some rumors that it could be a new resort when this building comes down.
Yes, obviously, being that it's so close to the convention center, the owner has mentioned that, the real estate there is obviously prime. You are accessible to the Strip. You have the convention center there. So obviously, this piece of property has been eyed at for quite some time. The Clarion structure coming down momentarily. And again, the possibilities there. Obviously, it sounds like there's going to be some type of structure for tourism, be it a hotel or be it some type of attraction. It's going to be coming soon, and Lorenzo Dumani is there waiting to blow the Clarion up.
Yeah, good morning to everyone, by the way. If you're just joining us now, we are waiting for the Clarion Hotel and Casino to go crashing down in just a few seconds or a few minutes from now. This implosion only lasting a few seconds. And as we take a kind of a wider look, if we can get that wider look of what's happening there, you can really see the prime location that you mentioned, Spencer, with the Link Ferris wheel to the left there on your screen and the Wynn Resort right behind it. So this is a really great location for whatever goes up next.
Yeah, and looking at that skyline, you see the history of the implosions here in Las Vegas. When you see the link, and this is something that longtime Las Vegans are going to understand, when you see that link structure and the observation wheel, the high roller there, that used to be the O'Shea's parking garage, which was imploded back in 2012, which made room for that. And then you see the Wynn, which, as we mentioned, was once the Desert Inn, imploded back in 2011. So implosions, obviously a very important part of our history, a very important part of our landscape, way to obviously, unfortunately, get rid of some very important parts of Las Vegas history, but these implosions themselves earning their own place as a part of the Las Vegas storied past.
And I believe the Clarion has been empty for some time. It does look beautiful tonight with all of those lights on there. And again, we are just waiting for this to happen any minute now. We've got anchor Don Guevara on the ground for us, standing by. He's watching this and going to cue us in as soon as we hear any word of when this thing will actually be coming down. Now, the Clarion has gone by several names in the past. In fact, it opened back in 1970. Again, if you're just joining us, we want to give you a little bit of a history here of what's going on. This thing happened to go up as a building back in 1970. It first started as the Royal Inn. That was its first name. And I guess the owner is speaking right now. We're going to go back and check in with anchor Don Guevara, on the ground right now. Don.
Yeah, I'm here with Lorenzo, and we have an update as to, you've heard about why there's a bit of a delay. Talk to us about that.
Right. No, we were hoping to start at about between 1:30 and 2:30, but there's apparently 5 people that decided to get within the danger zone, and they're there, and Metro Police are trying to get them out of there. And then once they're removed and it's safe, then we'll go ahead with the implosion.
How exciting is this for you? We haven't seen this since 2007. You're kind of starting this new Vegas trend again.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. This is the 13th implosion in Vegas, and it's my first one. I've never been to one other than watching them on TV. So I'm, hopefully in the next couple minutes we can get this going, and I'll be really excited once it's over.
Who's here? Who's in the crowd? Who'd you invite tonight?
No, we got a lot of family, friends, people like that, and so it's good.
Yeah, go ahead, guys.
Hey, Don, will Lorenzo give us a preview of what
Question?
is to come? Now that the Clarion is coming down, I know he's been a little tight-lipped, but maybe now that you've got him live, we could put a little pressure on him and he can give us a little preview of what's going to be there.
I've been asked to ask you again, what's going to be there once the Clarion goes down? Tell us here first.
Well, I can tell you what's going to be right here where we're standing. We're in the convention center parking lot. The expansion of the convention center, from what I understand, is planned for here. And you've got Resort World going at the old Stardust site.
What about at the old Clarion site?
We'll do something, hopefully, that's really nice, that complements the area and works well with the entire area and surroundings.
Last thing, if we don't make the 3 a.m. cutoff, what's going to happen? Seriously, do you know?
I honestly don't. I know legally it has to be between 1:30 a.m. and 3:30. I think 3:30.
Okay.
So I think we've got a little leeway.
Okay.
But I honestly don't know. This is first time for me.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Lorenzo, thank you. Congratulations.
No,
Thanks for
appreciate
joining
it.
us. So
Thank
yeah,
you so much.
you heard the delay. Some 5 people.
I need one of those masks, by the way.
You can have mine.
Very cool.
There you go. I might need it back though. So yeah, so 5 people across the street getting into the danger zone, and it doesn't surprise me because when we were out here doing our story at 11 o'clock and even earlier, everyone was talking about this, and people were walking by. They were taking pictures. And they wanted to know how they could watch it. I told them it wasn't open to the public, but people still wanted to find places to do it. And so I think they're trying to get as close as they can. We're so secluded that we can't see what Metro is doing. We see some flashing lights in the distance. And, we talked about all the street closures that are happening in the area. So no surprise that some people want to get as close as they can. But for the most part, I guess legally, if you will, this is as close as you're going to get, which is about the 200 to 300 meters that we are from this hotel. So fingers crossed that they can get this thing done before the 3:30 deadline or time limit cutoff period. So we'll see.
Don, thank you, and thank you for pressing him on that question for us. Obviously, Lorenzo remaining a little tight-lipped there, but we are going to continue keeping our eyes on this. Again, that Clarion implosion could be coming down any minute. Again, Lorenzo pretty much confirming there what we were hearing and seeing on Twitter, that there were a couple of bystanders there, a couple of trespassers, if you will, who were too close to the blast site, and they are clearing them off before they can bring this building down. But again, Jessica, we have a time limit on this.
That's right, but obviously safety is the utmost concern. So Metro doing everything they possibly can to get those people removed from that area so we can go ahead with this. So highly anticipated, that big group of people, Don saying about 50 people in that private area, and then you saw all those people standing by on the garages, in the nearby areas, in the safe zones where they can actually see this thing come down, because as we've been talking about this morning, the implosions here in Las Vegas are big parties. They are a big to-do and part of the Las Vegas history as well. When these buildings go up, we take note, but when they come down, we also like to celebrate a new beginning, end to an era. But it's always a good time here in Las Vegas. Las Vegas knows how to do a party right, and this morning no different. Again, we are waiting. We have initially thought that it was a 3 o'clock window to get this thing down, but we heard there from the owner, Lorenzo, that possibly until 3:30 we have some leeway here on getting this thing imploded.
Those road closures obviously are in effect until 3:30, so I think that obviously has a huge limit on the time. Again, they're going to want to open the roads back up at some point. On our screen right now, you see we have our crews all across the valley in anticipation for this Clarion implosion. They are getting ready for this structure to be brought down. We have 6 different cameras pointing at the building for you. We are getting ready. We are anticipating this blast. 4,400 explosives are in place right now.
Yeah, it's just incredible, and the preparation for this morning has been months in the making. The Clarion Hotel is what it's known as right now, but you may know some of the old names: the Royal Inn, the Royal Americana, the Paddle Wheel, the Debbie Reynolds Hollywood Hotel, or the Greek Isles. So this building has gone through a lot of changes, a lot of name changes, and it's 45 years old.
Yes, Debbie Reynolds, of course, had big plans for this property when she purchased it back in the early 90s. She had planned on storing her huge collection of Hollywood memorabilia there. Of course, those plans never took shape, and she eventually, along with the hotel, had to declare bankruptcy a few years later. Reynolds ultimately holding an auction for much of that memorabilia here in Las Vegas over the last couple of years, selling that collection. And then the hotel eventually became, after the foreclosure process, of the Greek Isles.
That's right.
And then ultimately, as you see it today, the Clarion, which closed several months back and has sat vacant for quite some time.
So right now we're hearing that the courtyard has been actually cleared in that area, so we're starting to get things underway. We're hoping that the countdown has resumed there to get this building imploded. It's going to be only about 11-12 seconds. Our crew's standing by. You see there, this is where the party is happening on the ground there, our camera panning around, and then we have crews all over the valley from different vantage points as we watch this building about to go down. We are standing by. It could be any minute now. And Spencer, you mentioned the preparation for getting this building imploded. There are thousands of explosives that are actually put into the wall, and that's how this thing will be tumbling down. And I'm told we're only about 2 minutes away. So here we go.
That's right. Yeah, the countdown is coming up. This is a 200-room, 12-story hotel located between the Las Vegas Strip and the Convention Center, in the shadow of the Riviera and the Wynn and Encore hotels. We are about to see some history on the Las Vegas Strip
and
tonight.
You see those showgirls there with the owner, Lorenzo Dumani. They are getting ready to, any minute now, push that plunger and the building will go down. So again, doing this in Las Vegas style, you can see again those showgirls there and a lot of people on the ground with champagne in hand, ready to toast as a new era for this property begins. Right now, we're going to go ahead and keep waiting.
Yeah, this is a month in the making for Lorenzo Dumani, so I imagine that a couple more minutes don't matter much. Again, we're hearing that this countdown is already in effect, and we are going to, do you want to send it on over live now to get a listen?
Check in with Don Guevara. He is there on the ground for us for Action News this morning. Don.
Yeah, guys, so you can see the showgirls are there. They're there with Lorenzo, so that's a really good sign. We heard that the courtyard is clear, and we're about a minute or so away from the implosion. He's standing in front of the plunger, and of course, everyone has their phones up, because when this thing happens, if you blink or sneeze, you might miss it. It's supposed to only last about 12 seconds. So, you know, it's been an interesting evening of some delays, but for the most part, a very happy atmosphere here. You heard I hear it clear. All right, hold on a sec. All right, so yeah, it's his first implosion. He's very excited, and you know, it's a long time coming for Vegas, because like we've all been saying, we haven't seen one of these since like 2007. So this is going to be a pretty exciting night to kick off a pretty fun tradition that we've seen here in the past. 1 minute we're hearing, so the countdown is hopefully underway. The streets are hopefully clear, and hopefully they will stay that way. And yeah, we're just waiting to see when this happens, but less than a minute.
Mentioning and finding out just moments ago from Lorenzo Dumani, whom you see on your screen there, that there were a couple of stragglers. Let's get it back out now to the toast. Now that the streets are clear, we're just seconds away from the building being brought down.
All right, so they're making a toast now to all the previous owners and the previous incarnations of the Clarion. So new beginnings is the toast. And here we go. He's going to the plunger.
Nine, 8, 7,
6, 5.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, here comes the dust.
Wow.
That is a sight. Very impressive.
You can see just that giant cloud of dust. And for those just joining us, the Clarion implosion of the Clarion Hotel and Casino just completed. That went down in a mere 10 seconds. As Don mentioned, if you sneezed, blinked, it was gone.
Yeah.
And part of the landscape here in Las Vegas just destroyed in a matter of seconds. And we can actually feel it here and hear it here in the studios. Because
We're
not
about a
too
mile
far.
down the road on Desert Inn from where this building was just imploded. And as Jessica was saying, we could feel it. I actually reached over and I said, you can feel that rumbling here in the studio when the building, a couple seconds after we saw the implosion happening. Again, more than 40 years of history in that building, but all just brought down to the ground in a matter of seconds. Greg, look at all that dust floating in the air right now. Talk about the wind conditions. What does this dust mean right now? Obviously, you were telling us a little earlier that as far as implosion conditions go, this is pretty ideal.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid, honestly, forecast for an implosion. We're dealing with very light winds here across Las Vegas, on top of that clear skies as well. So most of that dust is going to stay within that city block, around the Riviera, around the convention center. I've actually got Desert Doppler up, and I'm trying to see if we can track actually on Desert Doppler the dust from it. But right now, we haven't been seeing it pop up just yet on our Desert Doppler radar. Notice we are at 2:58 in the morning. I think once we get into about 3 a.m., it may pop up on our Desert Doppler radar system, that dust cloud. That being said, let's talk about the current conditions. And we're now dealing with a south-southwest wind, still less than 10 miles per hour. We may see a little bit of movement with this dust, but overall, we're looking at very good conditions to keep it basically within that city block. Guys?
Greg, thank you. We want to go ahead and check in with Don Guevara, who is on the ground for us. He had the front row seat of all of this. And Don, I see you have the mask on there.
He looks pretty clean, though.
Yeah, tell us how it felt there and what the sound was like.
Look at this, guys. So
Amazing.
we're lucky we avoided this giant dust cloud that went to the other side here. And when that building imploded, it was so loud. There were a series of booms, and so I can imagine now why they wanted us to put these earplugs. And if you look, now that the dust is cleared, there's the Clarion, just a pile of rubble. It took a matter of 12 seconds for that to happen, and we all thought that we were pretty much going to be in a giant dust storm, but luckily whatever wind is out here pushed it in a different direction. So I feel sorry. We actually got a photographer and some crews down there, so hopefully they have their masks. But all of the people here at the party, all the people behind us in the parking garages, they avoided this this giant dust cloud. And all of a sudden, that building just started to crumble. It fell, and then that big, massive pile of dust that just, flew across the parking lot. It's now headed right towards the convention center, guys.
Hey,
so
Don,
it's
a
a pretty
question
incredible
for you.
sight out
As
here.
we look at the rubble that's left over, if we can get a shot of that again, right behind you, part of that building actually did not go all the way down where those numbers and that website advertisement is. And is there a reason, or do you know if they're going to go ahead and...
It's still smoldering. You can see it.
Yeah, you can see it smoldering, but it didn't go all the way down.
4,400 pieces of dynamite, and I don't know if those pieces didn't go off or what happened here, but we'll have to see what happens in the next coming hours or later on today. And, that part's going to have to go down too. So I don't know if that was part of the master plan. I think we all expected it to be one giant pile. But as you can see, there's a stubborn sign there. Of course, the only part that's left is a sign for his company, 305ccd.com. That's Lorenzo's company name. So maybe that was all a ploy to, advertisements. But we'll have to see. But that's a good point, Jess. Good eye there, because, yeah, we were expecting a giant pile, and there's still one piece left.
Well, we got the ad still
we'll
up
see.
there. That's okay. All right. Hey, Don, thank you so much for being on the ground there for us. I know the party is wrapping up, so we'll let you have a little fun there at the end of your night/early morning for us here. We're not done blowing things up quite yet, though,
Can
Spencer.
you believe it? We had to wait 8 years for this, and now we've got another one coming up in just a few days.
That's right. Another implosion actually set for Sunday. The Gramercy, it's a stalled project on the Southwest Valley. That one is also going to be coming down here in just a few days. The unfinished 9-story building located near Russell and the 215, and that implosion on Sunday will be set for 8 a.m., so not quite so early as we saw this morning.
No, and not on the Strip, but you can, of course, count on Action News to be there and bring it to you. GMLV, a weekend edition, is scheduled for that time, so our crews will be